If you could learn to pray from someone who is already on the other side, particularly a soul in purgatory, finding a spiritual director nowadays is difficult. Actually, it is noted by many saints that it is almost impossible to find a good one. For example, Saint Faustina struggled to find a good spiritual director. Imagine if you had a soul in purgatory guiding you in the spiritual life. This is exactly what happened to Sister Mary of the Cross. A soul in purgatory guided her in various apparitions in a book titled The Unpublished Manuscript on Purgatory. I have compiled several quotes, many of them on the theme of prayer, quotes that will shed a lot of light on the spiritual life and save you a whole lot of frustration. Hi and welcome. If you're new here, please do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, it helps tremendously with the channel. And with that being said, the soul in purgatory begins. You feel the heat. Alas, if you knew the heat of purgatory compared to yours, a little prayer does us so much good. It is like a glass of water given to a thirsty person. Love everyone, but do not put your trust entirely in anyone, because Jesus wants to be your great confidant. Everything for Him and Him alone. Perform all your actions in the presence of God, as I have so often told you. Consult Him before all you do or say. Let your life be one of faith and love. Do nothing to distinguish yourself. Here she explains the relationship that Jesus desires of us. She explains that God desires to walk closely with us at all times. She describes this as a relationship which is intimate, that of friends. She also stresses the importance of praying for the souls in purgatory, and she describes it as giving someone a glass of water on a very hot day. Throughout the day, it would be a good practice to remember these souls and say a short prayer, and this adds up and helps these souls tremendously, particularly those souls who have no one to pray for them and have been forgotten in this world and are abandoned in purgatory. Without offending anyone, avoid the company of those who are too unreserved. Be busy about your own affairs. Keep your opinions to yourself and never express them unless obliged to do so. Be preoccupied with only that one object, the mainspring of your life, Jesus. Jesus from morning to night, and from night till morning. Again, she stresses the importance of focusing on Jesus and actually ignoring most of the distractions and all other things that may steer you from the path of seeking Jesus. Because ultimately, in the end, it's only going to be about Jesus, how we walked and actually lived our life for God, and how we allowed Him to express Himself in our lives. You grieve God when you do not think of it. The union between you is like that between friends. Among friends, often one is preferred to all others, one who understands us better and from whom we keep no secret. If that friend realized we pay no attention to him, did not speak to him, or even cast a glance his way to show him that he is still our special friend, he would feel intense pain. Thus it is with God, as far as you are concerned. He certainly has a great love for many of His friends. But I have told you many times, even though you are not deserving of it, as are so many others, yet He loves you in a special way. For this reason, your indifference causes Him all the more pain. All that you do affects Him all the more intimately. Despite your many occupations, He must be first in your thoughts. This is similar to a relationship between a parent and a child, where the actions of the child sometimes, if they do something wrong, causes pain to the parents. This is similar with God. Because He loves us so much, He's in a way vulnerable to us, and therefore we must be careful of our actions and consider Him in all the things that we do. You must prepare a dwelling place in your heart for Jesus, that He may rest there. You must also prepare as well as possible for Holy Communion. Try to think about it the evening before, but especially when you awake in the morning. You must not only prepare an abode for Jesus, but you must invite him. There would be no point in preparing a beautiful room for a guest were you not to invite him to enter. So invite Jesus, often by your desires and above all by your love for him. In this passage, she sheds a lot of light, particularly about Holy Communion, how we should approach it. It's very eye-opening the way she describes it as inviting Jesus into your heart, as in preparing a room for Jesus and making sure that it's worthy of a king. This is something that most of us never think about, and are actually nuggets of wisdom in the spiritual life. When God requires a soul to be entirely his, he begins by crushing it, very much as apples are crushed in a press to extract all its passion, its self-seeking, in a word, all its defect. When that soul is sufficiently broken, he reshapes it according to his will. If it is faithful, it is soon transformed. Only then does God load it with his choicest graces and inundate it with his love. This is the perfect analogy to describe how God puts challenges sometimes in the way of a soul so as to get rid of all the negative aspects of it. For example, self-seeking, selfishness, ambition, and all the negative things that keep us away from God. It is only when the soul empties itself of all this baggage that the Lord can then fill us with his graces and his love. Alas, how many lives seem to be filled with good works and at death are found empty? This is because all those actions appeared to be good, all those showy works, all that conduct that seemed irreproachable, all those were not done for Jesus alone. Some will have their eyes opened when they come up to this life in purgatory. On earth, they wanted to be made much of, to shine, to be thought very exact in religious observances, to be esteemed as perfect religious. This is the mainspring of many lives. If only you knew how few people work for God and act for love of him alone. Alas, at death, when they are no longer blinded, what regrets they will have. Again, this is a similar point. Loving God for his sake. Nothing more, nothing less. You sometimes say to me that the perfecting of a soul is a very long process, and you are astonished. The perfecting of a soul does not take any less time in purgatory than upon earth. There are a number of souls that are very few, who have few venial sins to expiate. These do not stay long in purgatory. A few weeks, a few well-said prayers, a few sacrifices soon deliver them. But when they are souls like mine, and that is nearly all whose lives have been so empty, who paid little or no attention to their salvation, then their whole life has to be begun all over again in this place of expiation. This is the reason why the deliverance of some souls is delayed. That is huge. She stresses the importance of living for God and loving God in this life and transforming into the soul that God created you to be while you are still on this earth, rather than beginning this whole process all over again in that place of suffering, in purgatory. The theme throughout most of the book is to give your life fully to God, when without reserve. Ask for the grace, when you're still in this earth, to be able to fulfill his will fully in your life. And click on the video above if you're interested in drawing closer to God and understanding more about the spiritual life. I'll catch you on the other side.